Joe Biden. Joe, say it ain't Joe. Joe Biden. A new political story, always with the hot takes and information. Joe Biden, he's crushing it nationally. But he's slipping in Iowa and New Hampshire. What does that mean for Bernie, for Warren, for everybody? Let's take a look here. Not going to read the whole thing, but a little bit. So, I still have no words for this man. Anyway, those alternative realities are playing out in real time, reflected in Biden's solid standing atop national polls versus his middling performance in Iowa and New Hampshire surveys on the other. The disparity is at once a source of frustration to Biden's team and one of hope to rivals, holding out for an utter collapse by the former vice president in the two earliest nominating states. And before I read on, not to be too conspiratorial, is it interesting timing? That, yes, I did see that Deval Patrick, we need another freaking neoliberal corporatist to run, might announce his late entry bid. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Is it interesting to you that Joe Biden starting to show up in some Iowa, New Hampshire polls in second or third, and CNN gives him an exclusive town hall tonight?
Yeah.
I'm not going to air that. We're not going live through the town hall. If something happens interesting, maybe.
I mean, it's going to be such a snooze fest.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a snooze fest. But why is Joe Biden all of a sudden? He's already had a town hall. Why is he all of a sudden getting his own exclusive town hall? Apologies to CNN if we're going to then see other candidates get town halls for a second time. They already went through all the candidates, other than Tom Steyer, who's got a town hall last night. Guilty as charged. I didn't watch it. But all of a sudden, Joe Biden slipping and sliding in these early polls, and I don't really look at the national polls. Hillary Clinton was up in national polls over Bernie Sanders like you wouldn't believe. Bernie Sanders, in my view, won Iowa, even though the national polls were Hillary was crushing Bernie Sanders in national polls. So national polls, I'm not saying they're not important at all, but they're not everything. CNN is having Joe Biden on tonight. As we speak, there are questions being crafted, not by human beings in the audience, but by CNN producers. I promise you that. We've seen it at other town halls where you have plants, interns for major Washington, D.C. lobbyists, planting questions against Bernie Sanders. There's going to be a wonderful, heartwarming question to Joe Biden tonight. And my guess, it's about how does the personal tragedy you've gone through in your life
for sure.
dictates, or inform how you would be as president. I'm sorry for Joe Biden's personal tragedy. We're not knocking him. He's been through a lot. Not relevant to me and shouldn't be to any informative voter. But you might see things like that. So I think Joe Biden's campaign, political reports, little nervous, little worried about Iowa and New Hampshire. He might have a commanding lead in South Carolina right now, but Hillary Clinton had a commanding lead in South Carolina. But when Barack Obama won Iowa in 2008, that commanding lead shrunk. It shrunk for Hillary Clinton, and then I think Obama did go on to win South Carolina. So if Biden loses Iowa and New Hampshire, he might still win South Carolina, but he's not going to win it by 30 points like he's polling at now. He might win it by 6 to 7 points. Is that a victory to win South Carolina by that small a margin? I don't know. And I also think, one of the things that Bernie Sanders has been surging on is healthcare. All the polls are showing voters trust Bernie Sanders on healthcare more than any other candidate. A lot of the polls show healthcare is the top issue also for most voters. So basically, CNN is now, as Joe Biden is struggling, going to give him a 1-hour infomercial for him to recite talking points of the pharmaceutical and health insurance industry, like, oh, it's going to cost you $30 trillion, and how are you going to pay for it? And my plan is going to give you choice, and yada, 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 yada. And I don't know who's moderating, but my guess is they're not exactly going to be coming with the hard press on Joe Biden. I would really, really doubt that. So I think this is what you're talking about, manufacturing consent. And it's also just, frankly, there was a time in America that you had, what was it called? Was it the Fairness Doctrine or Equal Time?
Yeah.
Where, news outlets had to give equal time. They're not going to give Bernie Sanders another town hall. Maybe if they're forced to by Bernie Sanders supporters, but Joe Biden, for reasons I don't understand, is getting his own town hall as he's struggling. And we spoke about this yesterday. I mentioned to you, why does CNN and Jake Tapper keep having Amy Klobuchar on?
Gosh.
Why do they keep having Cory Booker on?
Right.
After a certain while, if you're not getting out of 2 to 3 to 4%, I mean, Kamala Harris's campaign has been dead now for 2 months. They keep doing interviews with her. To me, why don't you have, he's not my choice, but why don't you have Andrew Yang on more, who's increasing in the polls? Why don't you have, she's not my first choice, why don't you have Tulsi Gabbard on, who's now at 6% in New Hampshire? Largest poll number she's had to date. Why don't you have people that are actually growing rather than people that have been flat? Why do they not have those folks on rather than trying to give lifelines to these corporatists?
Because they're garbage outlets who do not care about anything but trying to push these neoliberals.
Political analysis you cannot get anywhere else. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.